Hello everyone, and welcome to another Norland update video, as the developers have posted the roadmap for the next 6 months. It promises the potential for a huge amount of new content, including resource types, a basic climate system, the ability to shape your village production more directly, and much more. As always, I'll link the Steam announcement for the roadmap in the description if you want to read along with me. With that out of the way, let's discuss the Fall Through Winter 2025 roadmap. The developers start by letting us know that, although there were a couple of features from the previous roadmap not yet released, at least usurpers and conspiracies are currently being tested and could hit the beta branch soon. They also give us an estimate of at least 2 more years of early access before the game is in the state they want for a 1.0 release. This is mostly because the amount of content is where they want it to be, stating it is about 1/4 of what they would like to have in the end. With all of that said, the focus for the next 6 months appears to be content additions, specifically economy, characters, and the AI aimed at improving the mid and late game. This is extremely promising, although some refinements of the earlier game for newer players who may have difficulties with some of the newer additions like ragged ones would be appreciated as well. So now we get into the meat of the plan changes, and we start with economic expansion. We're given a neatly designed production tree to show these plans. The dark blue buildings and yellow resources are the new content. A large number of things are here, including buildings such as a stone mine and clay pit, which will provide stone and clay for construction, as well as a saw pit to create planks for eventually creating more advanced tools and equipment. One of the most interesting additions here in my opinion is the addition of a hunter lodge and sheep farm, both of which can provide wool to later create different clothing types. Berries will be used for dyes for expensive clothing. Assuming this will improve both comfort of your citizens and potentially some protection against weather, this could have a nice synergy with the weather additions we'll talk about a bit later. Other additions include a bakery for bread, using firewood for heating buildings, soap for bathing, and a smokehouse to make smoked meat. This could take a while to add everything here, but even if half of it can make it before the end of winter, we will be eating well in terms of new content. The developers then note that we are unlikely to see the scale of cities expand in raw numbers much further, and they seek to deepen complexity instead. While I can understand the concern of performance hits from increasing the populations too much, I would personally take some hits to complexity for larger cities. For instance, warriors don't really do anything in the economy when they aren't on campaign, and should probably be allowed to return to the fields when at home, which is closer to the reality in medieval times. Of course, some could be retained for general wildlife defense and crime watching, but this would be a nice middle ground in allowing our workforce to be maximized while still focusing on complex peasant behavior. Next in the plans are hygiene and bathhouses. These will come with the risk of infection and epidemics from poor hygiene, and skill as the population are placed in more dense living spaces. This will naturally limit the growth of populations, but with player agency as you can reduce infections with soap and firewood investments. Also, you will have the ability to hand over villages to lords, making them barons with their own income. You won't receive as much tribute from them, but you can build basic production buildings like fields, mines, mills, and breweries, allowing you to focus your city production on more profitable products. And craftsmen will help round the system out. They are essentially professionals who have better production in their given area, such as blacksmiths and forges, and so on. They will demand better houses and gold payments though, while also being poor farmers. The knowledge menu reform is still in the works as well, with plans to allow long-used knowledge to become rooted in the people themselves. This means it won't be lost if the original lord dies without passing it down, but it may be lost again if the knowledge isn't being used constantly. A trade overhaul appears to be coming soon too. Barbarian settlements will buy food, medicine, and weapons, but sell prisoners, wool, and other luxury items. The caravan will buy and sell the inverse of this. Weather is an often requested feature, and it appears the groundwork will be laid soon. Initially, we can expect to see different regions have growth modifiers and food sources that fit their region. The north will be better for vegetables, wildlife hunting, berries, and herbs, while the south will be best for grain and iron. The temperate zone in the middle, on the other hand, will be closer to what we see for most regions currently. As for seasons, the first change will be a cold season, where crops grow slower and animal migration increases. The south will also experience droughts at this time. This is a bit of a letdown in my opinion. Instead of improving gameplay while adding challenges, we're getting tedious changes without the fun ones first. I really hope the developers reconsider giving us something that will make us micromanage our food again without also giving us any real benefits. Another change is the addition of barbarians, which will be another new hostile outlaw type. They can be destroyed to increase church relations like bandits, but relations from attacking bandits will be lessened as a result. Character traits are still going to be added at a future point as well, but they had to work out the system to include personal behaviors, political ones, and strategic ones. For now, they will work on adding weaknesses to AI lords that we can exploit, which will definitely be a welcome addition and way to increase your power in the world without direct warfare. Finally, it seems that cultural regions will soon be added as well. This means at the start, there will be a region of Varns bordering each other, Taneas in a nearby region with a bit less contact with the Varns, and so on. This could be nice for newer players wanting an easier way to grow in the earlier game, but probably make snowballing a lot easier for veterans. As long as we can decide the cultures of every province for ourselves if we want, I don't see a problem with this as the default. While there are other plans, these are the ones the developers gave us details on. They also want to further develop the combat system, city planning, politics, more game settings, and more as well. While I was critical of some of these changes, I still believe in this developer's ability to improve the game with constant updates. I just hope they focus on adding content that gives us more options without adding unnecessary tedium without giving the player more agency and dealing with the problems it creates. Either way, that covers everything I wanted to go over in the roadmap. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the bell icon to stay notified of new uploads. It costs nothing and takes only a second, but helps me out with the almighty algorithm to get the content recommended to more people. And as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.